Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us. From her fellow teammates to young soccer players, fans, and yes, even Ryan Reynolds, Canadians are showering Christine Sinclair with praise, well wishes, and admiration. Canada's greatest soccer player steps on the pitch for her final international game tonight in Vancouver. How has Christine Sinclair impacted sport? How has she impacted you? Are you going to tonight's game? You can call us in our first half hour. After 12:30, we will talk about holiday board games. What's your favorite? And are you cooperative or competitive? I'm Michelle Eliot. Welcome to BC Today. Thanks for joining us on CBC Radio 1 and live streaming on CBC Gem, cbc.ca/BC, and on the CBC Vancouver YouTube page. Canadian soccer icon Christine Sinclair plays her very last game for Team Canada tonight, right here in Vancouver at what's going to be known today as Christine Sinclair Place at BC Place. Now, she has spent 23 years representing Canada and is the international soccer goal-scoring record holder with 190 goals in 330 games. Let's take a listen and watch some of the highlights of her career.
Sinclair's in here and scores. Christine Sinclair gives Canada a deserved lead. It'll come to Sinclair, who shoots and scores. Christine Sinclair makes no mistake to finish it. Is it in? Oh, you bet it's in. Captain Fantastic does it again for Canada. 22 years of blood, sweat and tears for Christine Sinclair. But finally, she can call herself an Olympic champion.
Her final game with Team Canada is against Australia in just a few hours. And they will be playing at temporarily known Christine Sinclair Place in her honor. It will be the biggest crowd for a sporting event in 7 years, with 45,000 tickets sold and still to be sold. Christine Sinclair sat down for an interview with CBC sports reporter Andy Petrillo. It was an emotional interview and began with a clip of her on the field.
It is over. Brilliant! What a strike from one of the world's.
Let's talk about your legacy, because it's a big one, and let's start on the pitch. How do you want people to remember Christine Sinclair, the player?
I think there's someone that gave their all. Yeah, you are going to make me cry, maybe.
I'm not trying.
No, just someone that, proud Canadian that gave their all, and through good and bad times with the national team, just stuck with it, and just hope to leave the game in a better place. Then obviously, hopefully, known to have won a few things as well.
It was a year ago that we sat down. You were promoting your book, and it was really the first time you've also opened up about your parents. Do you think about them a lot?
Yeah, I mean, they're the best. Supported me the entire way, gave up, sacrificed everything so my brother and I could live the life that we live today. My dad stuck around to watch Rio, and then my mom, got to watch Tokyo before she passed away. So, I owe them a lot, and just continuing to try and make them proud.
That is Christine Sinclair speaking to CBC sports reporter Andy Petrillo. And we are asking you, as she retires from international play, what has been the impact of Christine Sinclair on you? And what about on the sport? Will you be going to tonight's game? Are you one of the fans heading down to BC Place or Christine Sinclair Place? You can call us 1-800-825-5950, 604-669-3733. On your cell phone, it's pound 690. You can also email bctoday@cbc.ca. And as we take your calls on that, we're going to hear from someone who's looking toward the next phase for Christine Sinclair. It is early days, but tomorrow's retirement party at BC Place in her honor will launch the Christine Sinclair Foundation, which will be dedicated to empowering Girls with Goals. And here to tell us more is one of the people working on that foundation, Andrea Shaw. She is the founder and managing partner of TTG Canada. Andrea, hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Tell us more about what's planned for the Christine Sinclair Foundation.
Yeah, well, as you said, it's in the early stages, but it's very, very exciting. And Christine's clearly very ready to cement her legacy on the charitable front, which will be her foundation. And nobody is a Christine Sinclair, and the power that she will have to inspire, empower girls with goals is going to be phenomenal. We've seen what she's done for Canada, what she's given to our country thus far in her soccer career. Hard to quantify, and I think we're going to see the same sort of effort on this charitable front, and she will do amazing things for young girls with goals.
What is Girls with Goals?
Yeah, it's her foundation. Christine's been dedicated to a lot of philanthropic work with the MS Society, starting in 2016. I go back with Christine when she was doing camps for young girls over 10 years ago. She's always been dedicated to giving back to future generations. And so Girls with her foundation will focus on that. Really giving back to the next generation of girls. The foundation is still being created and sculpted with Christine's input, obviously, but there'll be all kinds of things, whether those are camps for young girls. Christine's really looking at how she can make the biggest impact that she can. And we know with the leadership she's demonstrated to all of us in Canada and around the world, for that matter, this will be something that will have huge impact on our country.
She has been outspoken about issues of equity for women players. What is her hope there when it comes to pursuing that value for women soccer players?
Yeah, well, she's her efforts are unparalleled. On that equitable front, it's a big issue, and Christine is making a huge impact. Girls with Goals will be about celebrating the strides that women have already made. We've come a long way, but we've got a long way to go. And what her foundation will do will be to create the awareness of the gaps, and then by creating the awareness of the gaps, help attract resources to fill those.
Are there any systemic changes, do you think, that need to be made? We know that Minister of Sport Carla Qualtrough has just announced she'll be launching a formal independent mechanism to review abuse and human rights complaints in Canadian sports. Do you hope, and does Christine hope to tackle those systemic concerns?
100%. Carla's an amazing woman herself, and she's passionate about sport and ensuring that we have safe sport and in Canada, obviously, and the diversity of sport and an equitable playing field. And it's super important. I think that corporate Canada, certainly in our world with our company, corporate Canada is really realizing, one, the power of women in sport, which corporate Canada really wasn't leaning in on. If I go back to Rio, they weren't ready for this, and the wave and the momentum for women in sport and equity of women in sport is at an all-time high right now.
Let's take a call now as we ask you, what impact has Christine Sinclair had on you and on the sport of soccer, but on Canadian sport in general? And let me know, too, if you're going to tonight's game. Love to hear from you. 1-800-825-5600. 5950 604 669 3733. You can hit pound 690 as well. We're going to hear from a couple of young players in just a moment as well. But right now, George is calling us from Vancouver. Hi, George. Have you ever seen Christine Sinclair play?
Yes, I have, actually.
Tell us about that. What was that experience like?
It was absolutely wonderful. It began because I was part of the installers for Fox when they were doing their temporary broadcast center. And they were so happy with how quickly we got everything up running without any faults. And one of the administrators came and gave me a compliment. And I said, well, that's fine, but how about a couple of tickets? And he said, yeah, sure. Come game day, my wife and I find ourselves in these amazing seats, you know, close to center, close to the field. Couldn't believe it. And then I noticed this fellow, a spitting image of Christine Sinclair, except the male version. So I said to my wife, see that guy over there? That has to be Christine Sinclair's brother. Looks exactly like her. In the form of a man. She said, yeah, sure does. So I have to ask him. She said, no, don't. No. I said, I couldn't help myself. Excuse me, could I ask you a personal question? Sure. Would you happen to be Christine Sinclair's brother? And he goes, yeah, as a matter of fact, I am. And this is her mom, and she introduced me to her mom. And then, well, this is her auntie. And then one by one in that little group, oh, yeah, see that girl over there? That's my daughter, too. And so we end up sitting in the family section. And I got to hear stories throughout the evening, telling stories of how they were kids. And she did score a goal that day.
Of course she did. What a delightful story. Is there one particular story they shared with you that stands out for you?
Oh, there was just so many. It's really hard.
Yeah.
You know, when it's such an exciting moment and you're hearing and you're completely bombarded with all these wonderful emotions. Yeah. It's hard to pinpoint one.
George, can I ask you then, when Christine Sinclair scored that goal, did you look at her parents and her brother? What was the other face like?
I felt like part of the family at that moment. It was a wonderful, unique sports event I'll always cherish.
I bet you will. What a delightful story. George, thank you very much.
My pleasure.
Take care. That's George calling us from Vancouver. Have you been able to watch Christine Sinclair play? What impact has she had on you? We know so many young players look up to her, especially here in BC. And what impact do you think she's had on sport in Canada? Give us a call, 1-800-825-5950, 604-669-3733. Right now, I'm joined by Andrea Shaw, who's the founder and managing partner of TTG Canada, and she's working with Christine Sinclair's team to launch her foundation. Andrea, we got a peek there into, what her family is like, and we heard, of course, that emotional clip of Christine Sinclair at the top of the show. Can you give us a sense, what's it like for you to work with her?
Well, she's an amazing, amazing individual. She's an incredible woman with just the depth of her passion and her commitment to excellence. We've all witnessed that over the last over 2 decades, and quite phenomenal. And she's a true leader. And having been in sport, our company's very, very involved in sport in Canada. And you look at Christine, she's a true leader. And an unparalleled leader. And I don't even know that she realizes the massive impact she's had on all Canadians. But the beautiful thing is her legacy will be powerful in that she will impact future generations of young girls with goals on the soccer pitch and beyond.
It sounds like she will remain busy in the coming year.
She will, and absolutely so dedicated and so passionate. I think we're all going to witness another decade, 2, 3 of Christine's impact on our country.
Andrea, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
Andrea Shaw is the founder and managing partner of TTG Canada, working with Christine Sinclair's team to launch her foundation. And we are asking you, what impact has Christine Sinclair had on you, your community, and on Canadian sport? Are you going to tonight's game? Love to hear from you on why that was important to you. Our numbers are 1-800-825-5950, 604-669-3733, pound 690 on your cell phone. And you can email us to bctoday@cbc.ca. Well, Christine Sinclair and her teammate Sophie Schmidt are retiring tonight, but that is not all they have in common. Both played for Burnaby FC women's teams, and they have left quite the legacy there. Joining us now is Kim Bull, who's a senior staff coach for the female team of Burnaby FC, and Maddie Ma is coach and works on social media for Burnaby FC. Hello to you both.
Hello, thank you for having us.
Thank you for joining us. I see that you're together on the screen, and I imagine this is a big day for you.
Yeah, this is a huge day, not just for us, but as you've kind of attributed to there, so many of us in BC and across Canada. So yeah, we're getting ready. We're getting ready for sure.
And Maddie, what's today like for you?
Oh, it's definitely a busy day. We're all here now, and then later on, most of us are going to the game, all playing different roles. I'll be on the sideline taking photos, so super excited.
You take photos, and so what's it like for you to take photos of Christine Sinclair?
Honestly, it's something I never thought I would have experienced ever in my life. Growing up, I looked up to her. She was my idol,
Really?
as many other young soccer players probably would agree on. So this moment, it feels pretty full circle right now.
Now, Kim, last Sunday there was an event with you and other team members got together and then also met both Christine and Sophie. What was that like for you?
Yeah, I mean, Soph's in Abbotsford. She's been just such an integral member of the community there, even at the local gym. She's just such a good human anywhere and everywhere she goes. We certainly honor Soph's retirement as well tonight. Christine, we were lucky enough to have actually Christine and Ashley Lawrence with us as our club, and we had 60 young girls. And what was special about that is those young girls were all nominated because of giving back to the community in some way. And it really speaks to what we feel Christine represents as well, which is wherever she goes, while she's honored with her legacy on the field, it is closely followed by the fact that it is equal to, if not surpassed by, the type of human being she is. And that night was no different. And seeing the starstruck eyes and seeing the girls have the chance to meet their hero. And I think for me as a 40-year-old person who spent the last 2 decades watching Christine, the chance to stand there, even myself, and realize that being beside her is really just an honor, and to have a moment to just say thank you, like a real genuine thank you.
Wow.
What a special moment that was for all of us there.
Over those 40, as a 40-year-old looking back on playing as well for Burnaby FC, what are the changes that you've seen? Because there is that that stereotypical conversation that it's hard to get girls to continue to play at a higher level of sport. Has that conversation changed because of someone like Christine Sinclair?
I think it's changed, but I think it's also had a bigger spotlight. I think we faced many of the challenges that existed when Christine was growing up. They're just different. And I think that Christine's really shone a spotlight on those challenges so that we perhaps put the resources in to addressing them. And we have seen change. We have seen a shift. We have seen opportunities for a generation that was not there for mine or Christine's when she was growing up. We are certainly seeing a spotlight into the future of the fact that the next generation will probably see opportunities that this current young generation doesn't. So I think the progress is there, certainly grounded and driven by people like Christine throwing their name behind it, but really investing. She's not just a name who said, go for it. She's really taken the time and put the effort into making sure we address them.
Let's take a call. Robin is in Vancouver. Hi, Robin.
Oh, hi there.
Hi. What do you want to say about Christine Sinclair? Are you going to the game tonight?
Oh, yes, we are. Taking my 15-year-old daughter.
Nice.
We've got fantastic seats right behind the players' bench. And the last time that we saw Christine play was the Women's World Cup against England.
Wow.
It was a fantastic game.
How exciting. Why is it important for you to go to these games with your 15-year-old?
Well, obviously, Team Canada and under Christine's leadership is such a model of integrity and the kind of hard work and discipline and values that, I think we all need to aspire to. And so to be able to have someone like that on display and to show her respect is just important for us as a family.
How is your daughter feeling about tonight's game? And yeah, go ahead.
She's so excited. When she, in a sea of red for Women's World Cup, she was donned all in pink, head to toe. She was 7 years old. And when Canada scored, she was up on the Jumbotron, jumping up and down as the one odd pink duck. And so she is committed to wearing all pink again tonight.
Oh, you must love it.
This is going to be a great game.
Oh, that's great. Robin, thank you so much.
Hey, thank you.
Have a great time tonight. That's Robin calling us from Vancouver, going to watch the game tonight. What do you think the energy is going to be like, Maddie?
Oh my goodness. I would think back to last time the team was here ahead of the World Cup, and it was just electric. Being in the stands, you could really feel how excited everybody was, not only for Sinclair, but for the rest of the girls and the culture that she's really brought to the team. So being able to watch this game in her hometown, home province, I think it's just going to be incredible.
Oh, and Maddie, what's it like for you having played for Burnaby FC? We talked about with Kim, being more of a contemporary of Christine Sinclair's and what changes she's observed over those years. What's it like for you as a younger player who's been through? You went through the Pathways program to become a coach there. What was your experience like?
I really could not be more grateful for the opportunities that this club has given me. And again, coming from Sinclair's influence and everything that has been put into the girls' game in the last however many years, you can see there's a lot more investment, just as Kim said before. And being able to, again, contribute to younger players these days as a coach and taking what I learned from my experience and then being able to foster a good experience for them is something that, again, I'm so grateful to be able to do. But I'm so excited for all the different initiatives that someone like Kim is taking or our other staff here at Burnaby FC, because I think we're really looking to make some change and with a big focus on the female game.
Kim, what changes do you think are needed? What's needed to keep pushing these initiatives that Christine has led?
Yeah, I think what was great is your past guest touched on a lot of the challenges that Christine herself and her generation faced. And it's not always a pretty picture sometimes. And I think that what's great is we now lead into leadership programs and empowerment programs and safety programs and education for our next player. So the next generation coming up has a voice. And they really get to step into their greatness and who they are and say, we have rights and we have a way forward. That's powerful. And that's something that we're hoping to really focus with the next generation of females on as well, is to take control of it and say, there is no ceiling. We can break through, and it is on kind of the foundation that people like Christine and those who came prior to her. There's just generation after generation. There's going to be the next and the next. And I think what we're doing is a real female focus forward of athletes councils and leadership programs. And we're trying to encourage females, especially, but all athletes, to say, dream it, and then take the steps to be it. And really just, if someone's trying to restrict, just find solutions to it and have a voice and step forward.
What a pleasure to speak to both of you. Have a great time tonight. Maddie, I can't wait to see the photos that you come up with.
Thank you.
Great to speak with you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. Take care.
Kimball is a senior staff coach for the female team of Burnaby FC, and Maddie Ma, a former player and now coach and social media for Burnaby FC, which is Christine Sinclair's former club. 12:30 now, 1:30 in the Mountain Time Zone. Much more coverage of the retirement from international play of Canada's greatest soccer player, Christine Sinclair. You can see more, of course, tonight on CBC television and listen to your afternoon shows around British Columbia. Much more on that as the game begins tonight at 6:30 at BC Place, or Christine Sinclair Place for today. It is 12:31 now, 1:31 in the Mountain Time Zone. You're with BC Today here on CBC. I'm Michelle Eliot. Thanks so much for joining us. And coming up in our next half hour, as we head into the holiday season, we're going to ask, what are the board games that livens up your gatherings? And do you tend to go for cooperative games or competitive games? What are your favorites? Give us a call on that open line. That's coming up after the CBC News Update. And here's Robert Zimmerman.
Good afternoon. One person has been found dead after what's believed to be a suspicious fire in a Port McNeill motel. Crews were called to the Hideaway Motor Inn at about 1:30 this morning to find flames shooting up the side of the building. The fire was originally reported to police as a disturbance, and Mounties say it was only after the fire was put out that the body was found. Premier David Eby has announced a $60 million grant for the protection of coastal ecosystems along the central and northern coast. The new grant funding will be administered by Coast Funds and will focus on supporting conservation programs in a partnership with First Nations communities. And visitors to Mount Seymour Provincial Park will once again need a parking pass. Day passes were implemented 3 years ago to address traffic congestion. Starting December 14th, limited passes will be available at 7 in the morning, 2 days prior to a planned visit. And now taking a look at the forecast, rainfall warnings continue for some areas, including sections of the North Coast and the Fraser Valley. In the Peace, mainly sunny this afternoon with highs around 8. In the central interior, a high of 7 and sunny. Highs up to 6 with rain in the Kootenays. In the southern interior, including Kelowna, a chance of showers with a high of 6 as well. And showers this afternoon in the Fraser Valley, mainly cloudy in Metro Vancouver and Greater Victoria, with highs around 10. I'll have more local news at the top of the hour. Now back to Michelle with BC Today.
Thank you, Rob. Do you have a favorite board game? Do you play board games?
A favorite board game? Occasionally. It's called a Yam Slam. It is essentially Yahtzee, but it's with chips rather, so you don't have to keep score. You know how
I don't know Yahtzee well, I have to say.
You don't know Yahtzee?
No.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
I don't know what to say, Michelle. It's
I know.
a dice game.
Learned something about me today.
Yeah, so this is essentially Yahtzee in, it's got a little rolling area. So you roll the dice and then you get a chip rather than keeping score.
Okay.
So
Yams
it's a good
Slam.
Yeah, good holiday and drinking board game.
Love that. Rob, thank you very much.
Sure.
Maybe that's where the slam came from.
It could be.
Who knows?
Yeah.
Rob Zimmerman in the CBC Vancouver newsroom. Avid board game player. Thanks for joining us here on BC Today. We're both on CBC Radio 1, live streaming as well on the CBC News app, as well as our website, cbc.ca/BC, and on YouTube. You can watch us on CBC Vancouver's page. And yeah, when you think of holiday get-togethers, there's some kind of group activity, a sing-along, maybe a fun gift exchange. How about a board game? So we are asking you, what are the best board games to play for holiday gatherings? And whether it is a classic like Clue or Crib or Yahtzee, or a modern one like perhaps, Catan or Carcassonne, what does your family or group enjoy? What games are fun for kids? What are the games that are fun for adults? What about together? And we want to know what the dynamics are like as well. Do you get cooperative or do you get competitive? Love to hear from you. 1-800-825-5950, 604-669-3733. You can hit pound 690 on your cell phone. You can send us an email. It's bctoday@cbc.ca. Well, joining us now is Bill Heaton, who's co-owner of Interactivity Board Game Cafe in Victoria, and he joins me now from there. Hello.
Hello.
I see a poster of the game Ticket to Ride behind you.
You do.
Is that one of your favorites?
Yeah, it's obviously been around for a long time, that game.
We're
But
just,
yeah, I definitely got back into it during the pandemic.
Okay, pardon me, Bill. We're just having some technical issues. I can hear quite a lot of feedback coming from you. We'll try to fix that from our end. Okay, my apologies for this. Bill Heaton joins us from Interactivity Board Game Cafe in Victoria, and I think you have to turn down your audio if you don't mind, is what I'm being told. Let's try that again, Bill. And now we're unable to hear you. Let's see if we can fix that from our end. That is Bill Heaton joining us from Interactivity Board Game Cafe in Victoria. And he, as you can see, if you're watching our live stream, he's sitting at a table at the cafe. They actually have lovely pictures as well of people playing because they have, if you go to their website, they have walls of board games stacked on each other, which is sort of like if you go to any board game cafe. There are some in Vancouver that I've been to. Really fun to go and pick a game. But hoping to hear from you. What is your own favorite? I know I have mine. I like to play. I've grown up playing Monopoly, of course, Scrabble, played them with my kids. Clue, classic Clue. I know there are a lot of versions now too, but would love to hear from you if you go classic or you go with the new ones that I have not played because I haven't learn the rules, but would love to hear from you. 1-800-825-5950, 604-669-3733, pound 690 on your cell phone. Bill knows all about board games, so do call us with that. I know Ticket to Ride, which he has a poster of on the wall behind him there, is a really popular one among families. Let's try again if we can connect with Bill Heaton. Hi, Bill.
Hi, is that better?
That is better, I think. Thanks so much for this. Let's perhaps go to a call first and see what Madison in New Westminster would like to share when it comes to board games. Hi there, Madison.
Hi.
Hi, thanks. Yeah, I am well. What board game did you want to talk about?
Okay, my family is obsessed with a game I had never heard of before, and it's called Super Talk.
Super Cop.
It's Super Talk, T-O-K.
Super Talk, like TikTok.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
And it is essentially Story, the kids' game, but for adults. So it's just like a little more complicated, and every card you play, so instead of rolling a dice, you have cards.
Yes.
Like a deck of cards.
The red clubs and hearts.
Rules.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so then you're sending people home and landing on each other and trying to get all of your little pieces home before everyone else.
Right. And so do you...
It is
get
so fun.
Do you get competitive?
Me and my sister can't play together. You can play on teams, which is like because there's four spaces, and if you sit across from each other, you can be on teams, or you can play all separate. We don't play together, just period, because we will fight somehow.
How did you?
But we all play.
But you all play. You just can't. That the one rule is you and your sister can't play together. So is that you just have just come across this game? How did your family discover it?
I honestly don't know. My parents just had it one year when I went home to visit.
Yeah.
And they play it every single night after dinner.
Really?
They are absolutely obsessed with it. It's super fun. I do recommend it. And I've never heard anyone else ever mention it.
Yeah.
But it's like a big board, like a big board game, and it's just permanently on our table.
It's just, you weren't joking. You weren't kidding when you said obsessed.
No. Yes, obsessed. Every night I call my parents after dinner and they're playing.
They're playing. And are you heading over to visit this holiday season?
I will be home for a little bit, yeah.
So playing the game.
We'll be playing long.
I'm sure. Not with your sister, though.
No.
Madison, great to hear from you. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
That's Madison in New Westminster. Bill Heaton, Super Talk. Are you familiar with that game?
I am not, no. I mean, there are a lot of games in the world, but it's not one I've heard of.
That's interesting. It sounds like she hasn't heard anybody talk about it either, but it's Super Talk, T-O-K, and I'm looking at it now. It is a big board with the different card faces that are on each of the corner as well. So what are the games that people tend to ask for then when they come to your cafe?
for us, I mean, we get asked for more of the modern stuff because, I mean, that's what we're well known of. So, still the classics, Ticket to Ride, Catan.
Yeah.
A lot of two-player games. Two-player games are incredibly popular. So I would say the most dominant question is, we would like a game, but it needs to be good for two.
Right, because of course when they're coming over, there are usually two people. It's so funny you said the classic game Catan. To me, that's more of a modern game because it's newer to me. But yeah, I guess there are always new games coming out, aren't there?
There's I think on average around 6,000 to 7,000 come out every single year. So
oh my gosh,
my job is kind of curating through all those and trying to find the ones that actually are, the ones that customers want.
Yes, and what's that like for you, combing through all of those games?
I mean, I'm pretty quick at it. I just kind of look at the covers of a lot of them and I'm like, nope, move on.
No.
And I use a lot of obviously reviews and things like that to try and pick out the gems, and I try them a lot just to make sure they are the stuff our customer wants to.
Yeah. What makes for a good game for you?
I mean, interaction for a lot of people is very important. But conversely, weirdly, a lot of people don't want interaction. They want a game that kind of allows them to do their own thing and then not interact with other people at all. They just want to kind of figure out their puzzle. But in general, I mean, there's an X factor to a lot of games. I mean, you can kind of read the rules and it's not until you play it that you actually kind of like, it hits really. So it's tough to kind of pick out what makes a game great sometimes.
What's that dynamic though that people are looking for in a game? Like if they want to play, what kind of fun are they looking for? Is it that interactivity if they are with other people?
If it's in a party session, definitely. So if you're with 6 to 8 people, you definitely want something that gets people talking. I mean, for sure, a lot of aha moments or surprise moments, people really enjoy kind of like a big reveal. That is definitely good. But with a two-player game, in general, it's kind of like it's a little like puzzly half-an-hour game. That is what most people want. Something that doesn't take too long, but they kind of feel like they played something that's kind of stimulated them.
Let's take another call now. We are asking you for your favorite board games and what are the games that you pull out once there are folks coming over for the holidays, for a visit or a gathering. What are those fun games for bigger groups? What about for smaller families? If you have just one person coming over, do you play those two-person games? I'd love to hear from you. 1-800-825-5950, 604-669-3733. You can hit pound 690 on your cell phone as well. And Chris is joining us actually from Victoria. Hi, Chris.
Hi, how you doing?
I am well. And what's your favorite go-to game?
Well, I think what really makes a good, fun game for me is a game that's relatively quick. Doesn't take a long time for someone to have a turn, and it doesn't take 5 hours to complete the game. You can complete the game in a reasonable amount of time.
That's right.
And at the same time, I would like something where there's a little bit of skill and a little bit of strategy involved in it as well. I've been playing Settlers of Catan since back in the day when the board pieces didn't connect together and, one wrong move and the whole board can get splashed all over the table. Yeah. So that one has always been a huge hit in our house, and we've been playing that for years. But we also like to play Crokinole, which is kind of an old school game that some people are aware of, but I've always had a Crokinole board in my house ever since I was a little kid. And my little 6-year-old daughter likes playing that with me now. So that's really fun. We busted out an old version that we had of Clue a little while ago when we had some people over and had a really, really fun time playing Clue again. So I'm sure that one will come out during the holidays. And then there's a new one that I ordered for Christmas that I'm really, really excited about called Cascadia that's supposed to be very beautiful, kind of a tile-laying game, supposed to be kind of cooperative or at least not incredibly competitive. And I've even heard that, kids as young as 6 can play that game. So I'd be interested to know if your guest is aware of that game and whether that one's kind of a popular one in his shop.
Yes, I will ask him. Chris, if you don't mind holding on, because, you brought up so many fantastic examples there. I want to go back to you. But Bill Heaton, yes, Cascadia, a new game. Are you familiar with it?
Yeah, very much so. It's probably our best-selling game of the last year or so, I would say.
Real? Okay, there you go. So very popular. And what makes it so in demand? What's so great about it?
Well, where we are, obviously Cascadia is this region, so that attracts people to it straight off the bat. The art is beautiful. So one of the artists is a lady called Beth Sobel, and people really enjoy her art. So that definitely helps. And then again, it's one of those. We call it multiplayer solitaire games. It's so effectively 4 or 2 or whatever people are playing at the same time. but you're all doing your own little puzzle. And again, it's who does that puzzle the best. And again, it's 30 to 40 minutes, which is what most people want. And it's very satisfying because, again, at the end, you have your thing. You've created like a little landscape, and people enjoy that process of making something. So even if you lose, you have your thing, which, which is a nice little thing to have.
And you're basically creating, I'm just looking at it, the art is beautiful. It's gorgeous scenery that we in this region, of course, just cherish. And you create essentially an ecosystem as you puzzle together the scenery and the wildlife as well. I see elk here in this one. It's like it's like a puzzle and a board game in one.
Yeah, and it's worth that. I mean, it did win what we call the Spiel des Jahres, which is the game of the year. It's like the Oscars of the and then on top of it, for us, the company that originally made it, Flat Out Games, one of the owners is a lady called Molly Johnson, and she actually works over the road from us. So it's quite literally a local game for us. So, she actually comes into our store. People enjoy that.
I bet. Does she get surrounded by fans?
Maybe in our store. She's usually in and out pretty quickly because she's so busy trying to run a game company and also do her job in the planning department.
Like her regular life. Chris, how do you feel about that? You're going to go try and see her, the creator of your new favorite game?
I don't know if I'll end up having that opportunity, but I'll be very excited to play the game and
very cool.
And sing her praises from afar if I don't get a chance to meet her in person.
Absolutely. Settlers of Catan, Crokinole as well with the kids. And I'm the same as you. I played a lot of the original Clue, and it was just so much fun trying to figure things out and, figure out who was in fact the culprit. That was always fun, with the little ones especially. Chris, thanks so much for the call.
Thanks. Fun topic today, Michelle.
You take care. That's Chris in Victoria. Mary is joining us from Souk. Hi, Mary.
Hello.
What's your favorite board game?
Well, this is not literally a board game. I kind of cheated. It's a dice game that you have to play on some flat surface in order to roll the dice, of course. And it goes by several names. I call it 10,000. Other people call it Farkle.
Fargo.
Farkle. Farkle. Yep. It uses 6 dice, and it's a good way to find out, if you're playing with people what their risk tolerance is.
Aha.
Because if you take a chance and you lose your turn, you may lose a lot of points.
Right.
So the points can build up, and you can play it without your opponent or proponent knowing it. You can play it like a cooperative game, like you hand the dice and the points from one person to another.
Uh-huh.
So if I have a lot of points, I might make it quite easy for the person I'm handing the dice to, to take over my points and build on them.
Or
I might make it more difficult, or I might lose all, or I might take the risk and then lose all my points.
Right. Have you learned something new that you hadn't expected of people that you thought you knew?
Oh, yeah. It's a wonderful game because it can be played pretty much anywhere. We played it once. We were rafting the Alsac River, and it was raining, and we stood around inside the cook tent, the cook tarp, with a pot lid, with a towel over it, because the sound of dice on a pot is just so annoying.
I can imagine.
And we were rolling the dice and then passing the pot lid from person to person. I put that game in an Altoids box with the 6 dice and a little stubby pencil and some paper.
Oh, my goodness. Very portable.
Yeah, very portable. Yeah. Even a big pill container. You can put it in a pill container and wrap the paper around the outside of the inside of the container.
I love a game that will travel, Mary. Thank you very much for that.
Certainly. Glad to make a suggestion.
Yeah, that's Farkle. Farkle. It looks like a fun game. The packaging is very fun as well.
10,000.
Or 10,000, as you call it. Thanks so much.
And all you have to do is have 6 dice and some paper and a pencil. You don't have to buy the package. Sorry, Bill.
We do exactly the same thing. If someone comes in and asks for it, we're like, here's a set of 12 dice, which are much prettier than the ones that you would probably get in a Farkle box. And print off some score sheets and good to go. So we do the same thing.
No objection there, Mary. Thanks so much. And what about that too? I think the idea of games that you can carry around. When I've traveled with my kids, I have little boxes of games, like even chess that are magnetic versions. We played a game called Heads Up because it was on the phone, and that was a lot of fun. How important is that for people too? I guess that they can carry games around with them. Bill?
In the summer, definitely. That's kind of season. We definitely get a lot of people coming in looking for travel games. And a lot of the bigger, kind of more popular games have, if they can, come out with travel versions. So, Catan does one. A game called Azul just came out with one, which is an incredibly popular game, a modern game, but that one does a good job. So, yeah, people do like it for sure. But I wouldn't say it's the highest on the list of people's priorities. But in the summer, we do a lot of camping games. That is definitely a thing.
For camping as well, absolutely. Deanna is joining us next now in Courtney. Hi, Deanna. What's a holiday board game you enjoy? Oh, I think Deanna has hung up. Let's move on. Deanna, if you'd like to call us back, I'm sorry for the wait there. It's 1-800-825-5950, 604-669-3733. She wanted to talk about poetry for Neanderthals. And so, Deanna, would love to hear from you. You can tell us all about it. Give us a call back. Keith is up next now in Vancouver. Hi, Keith. And I think you want to talk about something really classic. Hi, Keith. Can you hear me?
Probably a few hours or so to really get the grasp of it. But I was fortunate enough to be traveling in India, and I went by a toy store, and he was selling Connect 4.
Connect 4.
Connect 4. So Travel Connect 4. The gentleman selling the game thought it was the funniest thing that I was buying, and I don't really know why, but I've taken it traveling for the size of it. It's incredible. Obviously, it's super easy to learn. No language is needed. Left, horizontal, vertical, and diagonal. I was recently in Taiwan, which, a bit of an aside, is probably full of the most kind, helpful, generous people I've ever met traveling, and I've been in a fair number of places, a bit of an aside, but anyway. I traveled on my own with a friend for a little bit and biked down the coast, and then I was on my own, so I brought out the Connect 4, and I don't know, half an hour, 45 minutes, I just sit out in front of 7-Eleven and challenge random people to game the Connect 4, so I played everyone from 5 to 75, and a couple people beat me. But for me personally, if I win, great. If I don't, if it's a close game, I remember I played in Vietnam, and the rain started coming down. We're sitting in a cafe or sitting at a temple. I was sitting in a temple one day, and I played the kids, and beat them. But I played the dad, and it was awesome because it came down to the final move, and he won. So it was just a super good experience, and it's light, it's easy, and it's just such a fun thing. So I've got pictures of most of the people that I played when I was traveling. So super cool.
You've made a lot of memories with these games.
Yeah. Endless. Especially when you're traveling solo for a bit.
Yeah.
And you just want to talk to the locals. And like I said, there's no, I was telling the producer there that using Google Translate for the first time on a trip was quite handy, and I put into the Google Translate one day, I said, some people play chess, I play Connect 4.
Oh, wow.
Thought that was pretty funny.
Sounds like you've got yourself a T-shirt, Keith.
It's possible. Thank you. Great idea.
Keith, thank you so much. What a fabulous story.
No, thanks for having me on.
That's Keith in Vancouver. I loved Connect 4. And for that, right? The rules are so easy to learn. I have to admit, Bill, that I have received games as gifts, and just, it took a while, reading the rules and trying to set it up. I'm sure it's very fulfilling and satisfying once you get there, but it's quite daunting. It can be quite daunting to get through all the rules and understand the game. How do people handle that?
Well, I mean, for us, we always have, we've been doing this for 10 years. We teach a lot of games in the cafe. So it's not easy for people to learn rules, and we are very, very conscious of that. So we always check with every customer that comes in, make sure that they know, if there is significant about rules, and then we remind almost every single one, YouTube is your friend. Like, if you're not sure, just go to YouTube, put in Settlers of Catan, how to play, and someone has made it. And it's much easier to learn with someone kind of playing it and showing the rules visually than it is often reading. So that's generally what we do.
What a great tip for anyone who gets a game, perhaps, buys a new game, purchases a new game for the holidays, or receives one as a gift. And we have another call coming in, but I want to ask you too, he talked there about games with kids. Connect 4 obviously is such a great one, and games for adults as well. What would be some of your recommendations when it comes to games for different age groups?
For kids, 100% Outfoxed is the best kids game, I think. And I would say I'm an expert on this one because we go to hundreds of schools every year and we teach games. We actually know this one well. And Outfoxed, it's a little bit like Clue, but it's cooperative and it's, aimed at obviously kids, but adults enjoy it too. And I always say the most important thing for a kids game is not that the kids like it, it's that the adults like it, because they're the ones who really aren't putting up, they don't really want to play a game often, they're tired. So if they enjoy the game, they will play it. And then the kid gets to play it, and the kid is not the big critic. They just want to play a game.
They just enjoy, yeah.
A game that you like as an adult, and if you enjoy it, then you play it more with your kids.
Outfox.
And then the other one is a game called Magic Mountain, which is a kind of a little bit like Pachenko. You're kind of rolling balls down this slope, trying to hit your blue students rather than the witches. And again, adults love it, which is the key. And kids love it too, but if adults enjoy playing it, then kids will play it.
More likely to play together and have a good time. We have one last call we're going to squeeze in. TRA is joining us from Victoria. Hi there.
Hi, Michelle. It's great to hear from you.
Oh, great to have you on. Yeah.
I wanted to call in and recommend a board game, funnily enough, called Pandemic.
Yes.
It's a great game. It's a game where everybody works as a team, and you're trying to treat infections that are around the world, and you work together to find a cure. And I don't know about you, but the Monopoly in my house always caused sort of a family rift, and this is one game where you all work together collaboratively, and yeah, it's tons of fun. It's super challenging, but it's lots of fun.
Oh, wonderful, TRA. Thank you very much. I remember when this came out, it was a bit on the nose, but it's that cooperative element to it that people value, and I'm with you. Monopoly, growing up, things got a little heated for sure. I'm with you on that. Thanks so much for the call. Great to have you.
Thanks so much. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Rod called to recommend cribbage, just as a last tip. I have about 30 seconds left here with you, Bill. Any final tips for people that you want to leave us with?
No, I mean, honestly, like, as I say, games are wonderful. It's, part of my life. And
yeah.
I would say, like, if there's one game I could recommend, if you're going to have a party, I would say it's a game called Just One. If you're looking for something that takes 30 seconds to teach, it's cooperative, it's fun, it leads to kind of moments of great joy and excitement. It won, I say, the game of the year a couple of years ago. It's absolutely fantastic. We teach it in the cafe all the time. We know people like it, so Just One.
Do you remember your first board game?
I mean, I think it was this game called Journey Through Europe.
Oh, okay.
That's the one I remember. It was like a Ravensburger game, and I used to win all the time, and it really annoyed.
Bill, thank you so much.
No problem.
Take care. Bill Heaton with the Interactive Activity Board Game Cafe in Victoria. That's it for our show. I'm Michelle Eliot. Thank you for joining us. Have a great afternoon.